All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Jagmeet Singh's press conference. I'm going to pass it over to NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh. After everyone's done speaking, we'll take questions from the media. To ask a question on Zoom, please use the raise hand function, or you can send me a private message in the chat. Bonjour, merci de vous joindre à nous aujourd'hui. Je vais céder la parole au chef du MPD Jagmeet Singh. Après leur intervention, nous allons répondre aux questions des médias. Pour poser une question, veuillez utiliser la fonction lever la main. Okay, over to you, Jagmeet.
Thanks so much, Charlotte. So today we're talking about the cost of living, and what we've heard from so many people is that it's getting harder and harder to make ends meet. We're seeing the cost of everything go up: the cost of groceries, the cost of bills, the cost of gasoline. Costs are going up and people are struggling. And I want to be clear: when cost of living goes up, governments have a responsibility to act. They shouldn't just sit back and let it happen. They've got to do something to help people out. Particularly when we know the cost of living goes up, we know that there are some people that end up hurting, working class people, families. They hurt when the price of things go up. But we also know that there's corporations that benefit off the cost of living going up. We know that large corporations in the oil and gas sector, large corporate grocery stores, are benefiting from the cost of living going up. And what they're doing is they're exploiting a difficult situation. They're exploiting a war, they're exploiting a pandemic, and they're exploiting the inflation. And so at that moment, it's when government needs to step up and stop companies from exploiting people or making excess profits off the backs of people. And that's why our plan is to tax the excess profits of these large corporations of 3% of their profits over $1 billion. There is a plan, this is a plan proposed by the Liberals to apply to banks and insurance companies. So we want to force, first of all, the Liberals to honor their promise to tax large banks and insurance companies, but to expand that to include corporate grocery stores as well as oil and gas companies. We believe government has to step up and ensure that these large corporations aren't exploiting people, make sure they pay their fair share and reinvest that to support people. Today we have Lisa and Varsha who are going to share their stories of how the cost of living going up is impacting them. These are the people that we want to help. We believe that we can do something about this, that government can act in a way to make life easier for people who are right now struggling with the cost of living. Donc, ce qu'on a vu, c'est le fait que le coût de la vie augmente. Et quand le coût de la vie augmente, ça fait mal aux gens, aux travailleurs et travailleuses, aux monsieur, madame, tout le monde, mais ça aide les ultra riches, les grandes entreprises. On a vu dans cette situation que, causée par une pandémie, l'inflation et une guerre, que le coût de la vie augmente et les grandes entreprises pétrolières ont un bénéfice, un avantage à cause de tout ça. Et ils exploitent les gens. Aussi, les grandes entreprises, épiceries exploitent cette situation pour gagner plus de profit. On pense que le travail du gouvernement, c'est d'aider les gens, d'arrêter les entreprises d'exploiter les gens et de réinvestir l'argent pour rendre la vie plus abordable. Donc, notre plan, c'est de forcer le gouvernement de mettre en œuvre, d'appliquer leur promis, d'appliquer une taxe de 3% sur les profits excessifs des grandes banques et des entreprises d'assurance. Et on veut élargir l'application de cette taxe sur les entreprises pétrolières et aussi les entreprises d'épicerie. On pense que le gouvernement a un rôle à arrêter l'exploitation des gens et de s'assurer que les grandes entreprises paient le juste part pour réinvestir l'argent pour aider les gens. On peut le faire, c'est quelque chose qu'on pense on doit faire et on a un plan de réaliser cette chose. On va annoncer tout ça, on va proposer tout ça dans notre journée d'opposition ce lundi. Aujourd'hui, je suis aussi joint par Lisa et Varsha qui vont partager leur histoire, ce qui se passe dans leur vie, comment le coût de la vie frappe sur leur famille et leur vie. With that, I'm really honored to have Lisa and Varsha here. So I'll pass the mic first to Lisa, who's going to talk a bit about how the cost of living going up has impacted her and her family. Lisa, thanks so much for being here, and the mic is now yours.
Thank you very much. We have a family of four, two teenagers whose appetite is growing, and we live on a single income. So the last few weeks in particular have been challenging. Every time you go to the grocery aisles, you definitely see all the prices increasing. And then you have to make decisions about what you can purchase for that week for your family. Meat, dairy, fruits and vegetables, everything's so much higher than it was. So your dollar is not going as far as it used to. So we make choices. With the price of gas, I know I'm rethinking if I really need to make a trip out a certain way, or if I can combine it with another errand that I have to run. Gas is definitely hurting us, and we actually don't commute that far. So I feel for families that do commuting for the majority of their travel time. In terms of housing, I know that my involvement with various parent councils, I've learned that families are leaving the city, which makes me sad because I don't know what that will mean for our communities. They can't afford to live here. And I worry about what that means for the future of Toronto, and in particular Scarborough, where I've lived all my life. I'm a volunteer with a charity, Parents Engaged in Education, which runs Canada's first education bank. And we serve low-income families in the GTA, but we're located in Scarborough. We've definitely seen a rise in the number of families using our services, especially since the pandemic started. And they're overwhelmed with the rising costs. For them, it definitely means they will go without, whether it's travel for the week because of the cost of gas. If they're fortunate enough to have a car, they may not be able to afford to drive that car anymore. There's definitely decisions to make about the food choices they can have for that week. Their income is limited as it is, and now it's going even less far than it used to. So I feel for what these increasing prices will leave for us. I was looking forward to coming out of this pandemic just even a little bit and patronizing our local restaurants and businesses and locations, destinations. And now I know that those plans may have to be curtailed a little bit because we won't be able to afford everything we want to do.
Thanks so much, Leisha, for sharing that. Now we're going to have, I really appreciate that. Your story reflects the struggles of a lot of families and a lot of people. Really thank you for being here. Varsha is going to share her experience, not just as a young person, but also in her family. So Varsha, thank you so much for being here. Please share your story.
Thank you so much. I think right now I can speak on behalf as being a student and also having a family whose main source of income comes through working in grocery and retail as well as food delivery. When my family members work in grocery stores, not only do they see other people trying to finish their shopping within their weekly or monthly budget, but having to put food down in grocery stores and bouncing off of what Lisa said, some people are not able to afford their regular food for their families, for their kids. And unfortunately, as my family members say, not only are they grocery store workers, seeing other people put their food down for budget reasons, they're having to do the same. Even though they work in the store, they're in the same situation as well. And even there might be some people who might think, working more might be helping with that situation, but unfortunately going to work, especially when your employment depends on your car and driving, it makes it unaffordable to go to work, which is something I never as a student imagined that I'd be saying, but sometimes it's unaffordable to go to work. I think thousands of people in the GTA depend on their cars for work, whether it be food delivery, taxis, any sort of services. And unfortunately, without any accommodations from like employment services, it's hard to even be able to go to work. And when I see my fellow students that perhaps drive to school every day and are now taking other alternatives to come to school, it's really hard to even be able to imagine going back to what life would have been before the pandemic with all these struggles in the way. And so I think as a student, as a family member, as a middle-class citizen here, I can only look forward to what I can work with and what families in Canada can work with in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Varsha, for really eloquently laying out the struggle of people in the industry. What we're seeing is we've got corporate grocery stores that are making record profits that are raising the cost of food, but it's not like they're raising the salaries for their workers. Workers continue to struggle to get by, and families continue to struggle to get groceries. And the imagery that Varsha described of people having to be putting down food that they wanted to purchase for their young ones, for their family, for their kids, that is a reality of what it means when the cost of living goes up. And governments can't sit back and allow that to happen. This is not going to fix on its own. This is where government has to step in. The role of government is to stop businesses from exploiting people. What could be a better example of exploitation in the middle of a pandemic, a war, and the cost of living going up, inflation going up, that we see certain corporations benefiting off of this, exploiting this opportunity and hurting people. This is where government needs to step up and say, no, you've got to pay your fair share. If you're exploiting people, then first of all, you shouldn't have been doing that, but then you should pay excess profit or tax on your excess profits. And we need to reinvest that to help out families like Lisa and Varsha's, help out families across Scarborough and the GTA and across Canada so that they can afford to have the things that they need, to buy their groceries, to pay their bills. And that's what we're proposing today. So on Monday in Ottawa, we'll be bringing forward our opposition day motion, our plan, which is to tax these large corporations, their excess profits, and charge that at 3%, and then use that to reinvest into solutions to help people out, to make life more affordable, to help workers get to work, to help families that are struggling to make ends meet. We can do something about this. And that's what our plan is about, making sure governments step up and help out families in this difficult time. With that, I'm ready for any questions that you might have. And so I'll pass the mic back to Charlotte.
Thank you so much, everyone. We're now ready to take questions. Nous sommes maintenant prêts à répondre aux questions. As a reminder, to ask a question over Zoom, please use the raise hand function. You'll get one question and one follow-up. Pour rappel, pour poser une question, veuillez utiliser la fonction lever la main. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions on Zoom. So we will go to closing remarks from Jagmeet Singh. Go ahead, Jagmeet.
Thanks so much. Today we're in Scarborough. We're joined by Lisa and Varsha, who shared their stories about how they're feeling the impacts of the cost of living going up. Lisa talked about the impact on her kids, her 2 teenage kids, and her family and the family budget. Varsha talked about the experience as a young person, as a student, and as her family members who work in both retail and grocery, and actually require their vehicle to do their work, to deliver food. And the impacts on workers, the impacts on families are real. Our plan is to say the government has a role to play in stopping these corporations from exploiting people. Large grocery store, corporate grocery stores, and large oil and gas companies should not be able to exploit the crises that we're going through in the world to make more money off the backs of people. Our plan is to make them pay their fair share, to tax their excess profits at 3%, those profits over $1 billion, and use that to reinvest that back into helping people out. The Liberals have already proposed a tax on banks and insurance companies. They haven't yet done it. We're saying apply that plan to corporate grocery stores and oil and gas companies as well, and use the funds to reinvest into helping people. That's our plan. We know it's something that we can achieve, that can be done, and it will help out families. Thanks so much.
We do actually have one quick question from Mike Adler at the Scarborough Mirror. Mike, I'm just going to mute you and then you can go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. I appreciate this very much, and just wanted to know why you chose Scarborough for this announcement, and why you're at the location you're at. Why was it important to stand where you're standing now?
A couple of reasons. One, for folks that don't know, I was actually born in Scarborough. Scarborough's got a special place in my heart. I know that it's a community that reflects Canada. This is a community made up of a vibrant mix of people from all different walks of life. Lots of new Canadians have made Scarborough their home. Lots of people love their communities and are feeling the impacts of the cost of living. And we've got some important stories that we wanted to share from Lisa and Varsha. And I think they've shared their stories really well about the impacts of the cost of living going up. And we wanted to announce our plan to tackle the cost of living going up today in a community that reflects Canada, a community that reflects the people that are being impacted by the cost of living going up. And so that's why we chose to be here in Scarborough today. And our plan is a strong plan to say governments can act in the face of large corporations exploiting people, and we can make life more affordable. We can support people, and that's what we're proposing that we do.
Do you have a follow-up, Mike? Mike, did you have a follow-up question? Okay, I think that's all from Mike. So I'll pass it back to Jagmeet one more time for a brief closing remarks for the end.
Absolutely. Just want to thank Lisa and Varsha again for being here. Really appreciate both of you being here and sharing your stories. It really means a lot. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That concludes today's press conference.